Hey everybody, welcome. I'm sitting in San Diego at our LionDesk office. To my right, no, left, we've got Barry, and then I've got Nate. So Barry Jenkins, why don't you do a quick intro, Barry? I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but let's tell us about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I am a team owner in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I'm also the Wailopo Realtor in Residence. Avid LionDesk user, and huge fan of everything that Lead Assist is representing. So really stoked to geek out with everybody for a little bit and just share some of my CRM and see what I've been looking at for the last few months.
Awesome. And then we also have with us Nate, who is from Structurally, who is the brains behind the Lead Assist. So Nate, where are you at, man?
Hey guys, unfortunately I'm in Minneapolis. Long story, my passport got stolen, whole big deal. Identity theft is no joke, Jim, if you guys are Office fans. There's my joke.
Yeah.
Got it. Nailed it.
I have the Office references in here. It's not a real webinar, but I'm the CEO and co-founder of Structurally. We're basically an AI lead nurture and response system. We qualify leads through text message, and we're really excited to be partnered with LionDesk to help power Lead Assist and really successful teams like Barry.
Right on, man. So I think what we'll do is we'll keep it kind of open. If anybody who's watching has questions, go ahead and post them. We've got my crack team here monitoring this. So why don't we start off with what is Lead Assist? I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. We have already processed, I think, tens of thousands of leads, if I'm not mistaken, Nate, in terms of qualifying the leads. So give us a very quick overview, if you can, on what is Lead Assist and then how does it work inside of an agent's flow?
Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of everyone watching might know Lead Assist with its more loving name, Gabby. So I think I'm going to start referring to it as Gabby as everyone else might. But Gabby is essentially your assistant who lives in LionDesk. So she will actually respond to your leads via text. So anytime a lead comes in, so long as you have the Lead Assist task set up on a drip campaign that a lead is applied to, a text message will go out. And so long as the lead responds, Gabby will have a qualifying conversation based on if they're a buyer, a seller, a renter, etc. If they don't respond, then she continues to follow up over the course of 12 months.
So let me break it down real quick. So high level, we've got leads that are coming in from basically any lead source, right? Whether or not it's Wailopo or Zillow or Realtor.com or Facebook, right? And so lead comes in. The agent or the broker gets those leads into LionDesk, and inside of the campaign, before Lead Assist, before Gabby, right, you would either text them right away and then email and then call. And so now with Gabby, that is a campaign action for everybody, right? So that's an action, you drop it down, it's Lead Assist, and it'll respond right away. And let's assume, Nate, that it's a buyer lead for a particular property. How does the flow work? What's the timeline? How long does it nurture? So let's go into a few of the details of like how it actually execute, and obviously the goal being converting that lead and getting response, right? Like that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really beautiful, kind of the setup that we have in LionDesk. You can completely customize that task. So if you want Gabby to reach out to a lead immediately, you can do so. You can set that task to send out immediately. You can set it to be 5 minutes, or, speed to leads are really important. So we always suggest doing so in, 1, 2, 3 minutes or so, just getting Gabby in front of a lead. As soon as the lead responds, then Gabby actually takes it over. So that's really the big difference between what, a lot of other CRMs, what LionDesk had before Gabby was you could set a manual text task that says, hey, thanks for registering on our site, so on and so forth. When do you want to go see this property? If they were inquiring about a specific property and they say, hey, thanks so much for the response, I'd love to go see it tomorrow. and then nothing is
Yep.
usually what happens from there, because you're busy. Everyone, Barry, you know,
Right.
you can't go see schedule showings right now. You're on a webinar. You've got Gabby to take over those responses for you, though.
Mhm.
You can jump in immediately and actually hold that conversation until one of your agents can jump in.
And
Yeah.
so
Auto
Barry, yeah, go ahead, Barry.
interrupt a little bit. Auto texters. The problem with auto texters, it does work. They respond, and then you look like you're just flaking out on a lead, and you know they're trying to decide who to work with. And so to be able to have an always-on live assistant has been a big deal for us. You know, it really has, because you always know there's some consistency there.
Yeah, you know, statistically, and Nate, you know this, and Barry, you know as well, is that you know, LionDesk has had texting functionality for a long time, right, on our drip campaigns. And there's a very high percentage of people that respond to those texts. But then we as LionDesk are able to actually go in there and see how many of the agents or the ones that got those leads responded back to their client and how quickly. And it wasn't that quick. And we know, you know, attention span of consumers are very, very short, because they probably submitted the lead that went to a couple different people, right? And so we always talk speed of lead. And Nate, I know, and Barry, you know, we've talked about 5 minutes for a long time, and like it's got to be even quicker than that nowadays, right? But then if you don't respond back when the client does, then it's even worse, right? And so that's why you know, Nate, you and I have been talking about this for a couple of years and how to put this together so that. And I think the advantage is with Gabby and Lead Assist inside of LionDesk versus the separate system is that it's all using your LionDesk phone number, right? And it's all on the LionDesk app, and it's all on the desktop, so that, you know, and Barry, you know this, like all the agent has to do is just watch the conversations come through, right? And then they can take over at any time. So Nate, what are some of the types of leads that Gabby will work, and how long does it actually work those leads?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned a few. It kind of has a variety of different scripts. I want to say, you know, the conversations are powered by AI, but they constantly have humans watching over them. They're very, very lifelike conversations. You guys might notice things like purposeful typos. There's a little bit of a delay between messages. We use emojis. There's just a lot that has gone into making this a very human-like conversation, really just as an extension, you know, an assistant that the lead thinks they're talking with. So with that said, we have a variety of different scripts for buyers interested in a specific property, sellers, renters, investors, even other agents. I mean, we have a whole bunch of different variety of scripts that we can have depending on the information that we get from your LionDesk profile, the lead profile.
And when it's asking those questions, when Gabby's asking those questions, what happens if the client says, you know, I'm a veteran, or, you know, I'm getting a divorce? Like, does it give a thumbs up and say great, or like what's the response? You know, so it's not robotic.
Yeah, a lot of the problem with bots in today's world, and even some humans in ISAs, they just want to ask questions, which is great. Asking questions is extremely important. You have to give your lead the opportunity to talk. That's really what we're there for. But it's a really boring, bad conversation if you're not having, you know, if you're not acknowledging something they said. So if they say something like, "Hey, I'm a veteran," or "I'm going through a divorce," or even, you know, hopefully more positive things like a new marriage, a new child, a new job, the reasons that people move, Gabby will go so far as saying things like, "Oh, thank you so much for your service. We're happy to help veterans," or if they're getting a new job, just simply "Congrats on the new job." Things like that go, you know, that go the distance when holding these conversations, that hopefully build that little bit of rapport that keeps that lead on the hook for you as the agent to jump in.
Awesome.
And one thing that's interesting too is when it's not clear, because, you know, when you're working leads, there are situations where somebody says something really weird. And what I've been really interested in is watching Gabby handle like very off script type conversations that just like, where are they, where are they coming from? What's interesting about it, Nate, you developed it, so you know better than I do, but it seems as though Gabby has that nuance of being able to acknowledge what's being said without actually going so far as trying to pretend to understand what they said. Would that be a good way of putting it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a subtle nuance, and I think that's the part that I know the people that are watching are most nervous about. They're trusting their livelihood to an obscure robot, right? Like, I mean, it's just like, whoa, are you going to make me look dumb? And that's what we're all so afraid of. And I've been watching the conversations go through, and not only for me is it not making me look dumb, but honestly, it's making me look much more professional because we're always on, always following up. So it's a big deal. And I don't know how you guys did that, though, by the way. I mean, you don't have to explain it on this, but it's kind of
science
sometimes, man.
Science, Barry.
Terminators come in or something else.
It's actually math.
Is it really?
It's math.
Wow.
It's science.
Oh, interesting.
Or is it? It's data science, but data science is really just math. That's weird.
It's a robot. Let's face it, guys.
My eyes were crossed when you were talking, but
so Barry, when you set it up, when you first launched Lead Assist and Gabby, what was the expectation in terms of how it would respond as a conversion percentage, right? Versus you or your agent responding? Like, did you think it'd be the same? Did you think it'd be better? And based on that expectation, what are you seeing now after using it for the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had really low expectations. Mainly because I've been so disappointed with chatbots. To me, it's like when people say they've got listing photos, but really it's just a listing video. They say, oh, I got a video of the property I just listed, but it's just like a still video that goes across the screen with cheesy music. That's how I felt like bots were. Like, nobody wants to have a forced conversation. And so I wasn't expecting much. And so when I first started testing it with LionDesk, I was really, really impressed with the fact that it does come across like a human. It's really interesting. And so I've been, able to scale lead follow-up with Lead Assist and Gabby. And really my ISAs really now just focus on calling. I mean, that's the only other thing. But one of the things I'm sure you guys will get into is Gabby's sorting the leads for me. She's actually tagging the leads within LionDesk, which is just a killer integration. Gabby's saying, this is someone you should focus on. And then my agents are able to go in and then do that, call follow-up or showings or what have you. So I think that's where the CRM integration is so key, I think, because, people could buy these third-party services, but they're not going to integrate the same way. They're not going to help you sort your leads like this. Mm-hmm. And so that's a really big deal.
It is a big deal. So getting back to the question, the comment you made about a bot versus you got the lights turned out on you in there, Nate.
I lost the lights. I'm gonna move around.
They're shutting down, man. What's the difference, Nate, between a chat bot versus AI and Gabby? And because I get the question a lot. Mm-hmm. You could probably answer it better than I do, but what are some of the highlights and why is there a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of what we mentioned, or what I mentioned earlier. A lot of bots are just essentially, think of it like a form in a conversation. It's just, what's your name? John. How old are you? 10. I don't know why 10, but are you male or female? Male. And you don't say anything back like that. It's just another form in actually figuring out how you can respond to either an answer that they gave, like, hey, no, I'm not working with an agent and I'm not approved for a loan yet. Those are two things that we actually acknowledge. But if they even go so far as, hey, I'm using a VA loan, they're probably a veteran, right? And picking up on those little nuances and actually responding back while keeping the conversation going is really what sets it apart. We call it like an AI ISA, mm-hmm. So an artificial intelligent inside sales agent, which is a lot different than just a chatbot because it actually kind of has more of a two-way conversation rather than just questions.
I mean, I just don't know anybody that's excited about a chatbot on the receiving end. I mean, as agents, we're like, oh, I got a chatbot. But like the consumers are like, this sucks. Like, I'm not interested. Because authenticity sells. That's what sells.
And it's mostly because I think I've seen chatbots where, like really simple ones that are just like baristas. They help you order coffee. But if you order coffee, you can either say like you want a soy latte with milk, or you can say, hey, I want a soy latte. And then they say, do you want milk or not milk? It's the conversation. You say things in such a variety of different ways. You might you might say, I'm not working with an agent. I'm pre-approved for a loan. I'd like to move by the end of the month. Like that lead clearly is ready to go. And we don't just keep asking them questions and, running them into the ground. We have a flag and a lead that is that ready to go. We tag it as lead assist, needs agent follow-up. And we just.
Did we lose him?
We may have lost him. He's in a government building, so the Wi-Fi.
Barry will follow.
Oh, there he is. He's back. We lost you for a sec, Nate.
Oh.
Hey, Barry. Barry, do you have any examples of actual conversations that you could show here?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull this up here. Oh, look at that. That's the wrong LionDesk.
Oh, is that version 2? Get rid of that, man.
Sorry.
Get rid of it. Okay, there you go. Back to
the NDA that I signed, right? There you go. All right. So yeah, like 10 years ago, I think I had maybe 8 years ago, 5 Street, which just came out. That was like the first really big auto texter. And I got it because I wanted my agents to be able to relax, right? I didn't want them to obsessively be looking at their phones. And so this is an example of a lead. Came in the afternoon, and you see where the lead's name, Vicky, was inputted. Hello, Vicky, I'm Gabby. So now, Gabby's identified herself. She's identified herself as my assistant. To me, that's key because it's another persona. And then, use my identity for the team, which is part of the setup process. You say, what do you want to say, who you are. Thank you for your inquiry about this house, right? Grace Hill Drive on, and then lead source, realtor.com. I'd be glad to get something on my associate's calendar for you to see this home. Would you like to schedule viewing? What time works well for you? So then, 12 minutes goes by, no response. So then let me know if I can help. Still no response. Now remember, realtor.com sends, depending on your market, goes to at least, they pretty much got rid of all solo zip codes. They raised the price so much. So everybody's getting at least one agent competing with you. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's 3 or 4. So 12 minutes go by, no response. A full day goes by now, now we're on March 15th, right? So this is a full day later in the evening. And so then, hi, Vicky, hope you're having an awesome day. This is Gabby with Better Homes and Gardens. I'd like to send you some more homes like the ones you looked at initially. Can you let me know what your price range is? Boom, right? The very next morning, she responds. And she says, this is my price. This is what I want. I want amenities, pools, walking trails, fitness, flooring over carpet, open floor plan, need at least 1,600 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So this was the next day. Now we're on, a full 2 days from when the lead first came in. So notice here, she sent it at 8:28. 5 minutes later, so it's not right away, right? It's actually like somewhat realistic. Got it. I'll let my associate know that you're interested in this house. I'd like to get some more information. Have you been pre-approved? And so to me, let me pause here for a second, because now what's starting to happen is Gabby is going from your average appointment setting bot to actually assisting in finding out intel on this lead. Obviously, this lead is comfortable having a conversation via text message. And so now that the convo has warmed up a little bit, now we're getting down into it. And I love how they're saying, would you be looking at cash? Because that's just a compliment. And so then the agent said, or the lead says, looked at Grace Hill already. The layout doesn't work for me. I need something with more concept or a more open concept. No worries. Do you currently own your home? No, I'm ready to buy and move in. Got it. That's helpful to know. What's your time frame? So that was on March 16th. We had this great conversation.
All day.
Then nothing, right? Silence. The next day, Gabby, hey again, Vicky, I didn't hear back from you yesterday. Just want to make sure I wasn't dropping the ball. If you could wave a magic wand, that sounds familiar, setting up money aside, when would your ideal time frame be, right? And so then, now we're going for the kill. Boom, mid to end of April. Are you already committed to an agent? No, I have some showing properties. Right, we're right on. We'd love to work with you. And then I think I got all you need. I'm going to call you, right? And so we called. We're still showing this lead properties, but the emphasis here is, man, we didn't qualify the lead until 3 days later, and some of us were depending on these autoresponders, and when the lead doesn't pick up, we're gone. And so to have that consistency and that warm fuzzy that Gabby's not going to screw it up on me, it's a big deal. And I don't know if anybody's asking any questions on this, but I hope people are watching the flow of that conversation. And that's not that unusual.
Yeah, they are. So we've got a couple questions. So that, every time I look at those conversations, Barry, it just amazes me because people are different in terms of what they're saying and how they're responding and what they want. And I've seen, and Nate, I'm sure you've seen it too, where you ask one question and they respond back with 3 paragraphs of information of all of this, and like, here's what I want to move, here's my price point, I'm already pre-approved, I'm not working with an agent,
right.
I looked at 5 homes already, this is the other one I want to look at. And it's intelligent enough to know that, not to ask like, well, how many beds, right? Like, and yeah. I'm shocked every time I look at this stuff, right? Like how much better it's getting on a day-by-day basis. And because as more data and more conversations go through, it's learning, hence the machine learning aspect of it, to get better and better and better and better. So Barry and Nate, before we go into like the details of like what happens next, right? So before we say, now that the conversation's over, what happens? Because that's a question. Should agents or brokers that are generating leads for their agents, should they also use this blended campaign model in terms of like sending an email and making a phone call? And so Nate, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the other thing that I kind of want to mention that you just referred to, when a lead responds, they just they say a ton of things. What I'm most excited about when that happens is a lot of leads will tell you like their entire life story. And what I mean by they tell you, they actually tell Gabby, a computer, which is just crazy to me. And that's what's really exciting, because that's what really forms that connection early on. But other than that, yes, I think that the blended campaign is really, really important to the integration. That's what makes Gabby, is the fact that you can combine Gabby, her text messages with emails, with tasks to follow up and call the lead. And we absolutely recommend you do all 3. Mm-hmm. We think that texting is increasingly becoming the preferred channel of communication for younger people, older people, everyone. It's just so easy. Calling is extremely important too. But the one thing that I've learned from us handling hundreds of thousands of conversations, and I'm sure everyone here feels this pain, robocalls are horrible in today's world. They are ruining my life and everyone's life. I get 1,000 a day. I feel like no one picks up the phone if they don't know who's calling. What Gabby can help you do, either through an email or hopefully through her text conversations, is set you up, make the call. And then they can kind of expect where that call is coming from, and they'll be more likely to answer.
Yep. It's a great point, man, because you're setting the expectation. And again, the phone call is coming from their LionDesk number. So if the client calls that number, it's going to get routed directly to the agent, and they're going to already see the conversation that has occurred, right? So yeah, I mean, the integration is important. And I do agree that, communicate differently via different messaging, right? So you're gonna send an email out, which maybe it talks about you or your team, right? And then say like, hey, we're also going to follow up via text message, and that follows up on the text. But you have to, build these blended campaigns out. And I think Barry, you had one up there where you had lead assist engaged at the very top, right? Which is, by the way, so everybody understands, like, this is Barry's. Take a screenshot. You can see exactly how he works. So he's got lead assist going on there after 1 minute. So as soon as that Zillow lead comes in, right, he goes to lead assist, and that's how you add it. And then you've got an email that goes out, and then a bunch of other emails that follow up. And I'm guessing those are in conjunction with the way that you operate your business. You know, it's like, hey, here's a free home buy book. It's just, you know, sales, you know, a lot of us are in sales. I'm in sales, you know, and we want the instant gratification lead, right? Like we want the one call close, and it just doesn't exist, right? Because these people could be months out or 150 days out. Right. And so you have to continue following up. So let's assume, Barry and Nate probably, if that client didn't respond, because I've seen some that have gone out like 5 or 6 conversations, what is that nurture time frame if the client doesn't respond, and what are some of the things that Gabby says to that client to get them engaged? And I'm assuming that they're going to get emails or getting phone calls or getting text messages. So what does that nurture process look like if the client never responds?
Yeah, so from Gabby's perspective, she'll try and nurture a unresponsive lead 26 times over 12 months. Obviously, it's a little more aggressive in the first week, a little tapered off in the second week, and then about one a month for the first 3 months, and then one every couple of months throughout the year. So 26 times over the course of a year. I think one of my favorite messages, and I think the conversation Barry showed, is our 12-minute nudge, which is basically just saying, if the lead doesn't respond after 12 minutes, we say, let me know if I can help. I absolutely love that message, because a lot of leads have sniffed out autoresponders. You know, you fill out a form, you get a text, and it's like, hey, thanks for checking us out on realtor.com. Like, I wouldn't respond to that. But as soon as I get that little, let me know if I can help, I'm like, oh shoot, this is a real person. I just get them. I feel terrible. And we see a lot of those responses then.
And so you said 26 times over 12, so in a year, and it's more aggressive. And buyer seller leads, is the agent able to engage it on like an old, like a re-engaged lead, or is that coming in the future?
So you can technically enroll your existing database through LionDesk in a campaign that has lead assist. If that makes sense. So if you just go through your database, you can, you know, enroll, click enroll in that
campaign. So
on that campaign, yeah.
So the process would be, you're going to go to your contact table, you're going to filter everybody who you haven't talked to in a month or 2 or 6, right? And then you can start a campaign on lead assist. Okay, well, that's good to know, because I know we've got a couple questions. So let's take it now, and so Barry, you can show us, because I think that's the next question, is once the client has engaged and lead assist and Gabby is done, it's qualified or it's not qualified, what then happens, Barry, and how does the agent then jump in?
Yes, so what you see here is you see these tags, right? So we've got lead assist, interested, responded, telling us basically, you know, we need to follow up and, you know, what we need to do. And so these tags, this is part of that whole integration piece with the CRM I was talking about. And one of the things my agents do, because this text message combo is coming from our custom LionDesk phone number, what we'll do is we'll select all of them, go to bulk actions, we'll text all of them and say, you know, hey, lead name, getting ready to call you. Let me know if now is not a good time to talk about your home search. So we're using the fact that Gabby was texting from our phone number, our LionDesk number. Now we're texting from that number. And then after we send that text, then we load all the contacts into the dialer, right? And now, so they just saw that number. They saw, you know, whatever it is, 350-11111. And they saw that text. They look back and they're like, oh yeah, that was that agent I was talking to. And now we call within like 4 button clicks.
Yeah, it's smart.
Really, really big deal. And you know, the slower I move in my business, the more money I make. The more scattered and all over the place I am, the less money I make. It's always been that way for me. And if you think about this, the scattered is being handled by Gabby, and then I'm able to have my agents sit down at their desk and say, okay, now we're going to focus on all the people that we need to focus on. And it's just a really, really incredible way to run a business.
Smart, man. So you're going in there and you're saying, here's my lead assist responded and interested, filtering those, selecting all, sending a text saying, I'm going to give you a call in a few minutes. Let me know if it's not a good time. And for those that either respond or don't respond, you're then loading up the power dialer and you've got somebody hammering those calls.
Yeah. I mean, it's all sorted for me within the LionDesk ecosystem. And that's when I talk about the integration, that's why it's such a big deal, because it really does make it a lot easier.
It's impressive, man. You know, I learn something every day about LionDesk. This is pretty amazing. Seriously, it's like, you know, I know the feature set, right? But it's like in action, the way that you've stacked this all together. You know, if I'm an agent watching this right now, I'm probably going to do the same exact thing because I don't have to think about it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the campaign, if you've got like an old lead campaign, like, you know, I've never heard from you or something like that, you can just create a new autopilot. You know, just call it, you know, old leads. Save as new. Let's see, old, where's old? Here they are. So I go to my tasks right here, add a new task, lead assist. Boom, there you go. And you just assign it to, you know, the agent assigned. And now you've got this, you know, now initially when I do this, Nate, it's going to come through as what, a new lead? Or, you know, how would I do that for an old lead?
Yeah, so that's we do have different initial scripts for old leads on our side. That's not something we have, you know, directly figured out yet with the integration.
Gotcha.
That's definitely something we're going to work on with Dave.
Okay.
But right now, it's really kind of treated generally like, hey, can we help you with buying, or are you just looking to sell soon?
Just because there's no property, right? Because if there's no property associated with the lead, it'll just be a general inquiry.
Yep.
All right, so that's the key. So actually, we could do it now. Just make sure there's no property address. Yeah, you got to make them like, you know, just general registration leads that you're going to put on a drip, and then it comes from curiosity. Hey, you know, can we help you with your real estate needs? And then you just, and what's interesting, I don't mean to dominate all this, but I just get excited and because I'm a big nerd. But what's interesting about this is the leverage. You know, you can just point, click, and I can tell you guys that are watching right now, you don't have to worry about Gabby making you look dumb. You know, I would say that you have to worry about your agents. You know, I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm an agent, so I can say that. You guys can't say that. I can say that. Truth. So.
Agents never look dumb, Barry. You know, so another question came through. So if you want to take over the conversation,
Right.
How do you do that? And, you know, does that happen often?
I mean, I would say, well, first of all, you go into the texting portion of the mobile app. And so you can just look at, you just pull up the app and you've got those 6 different sections of the mobile app. You hit texting and you find that last conversation. You click on the conversation, and then at the top right corner, it says mute LA. Mute lead assist, and you can mute it. And when it comes to you know, Gabby and lead assist and the follow up, what I would tell people is, I mean, unless you're just kind of nerding out, I get it. But like if you're sitting at your desk watching the conversation go, like, okay, just, you know, mute it and go ahead and take over. But for most agents, that's not their problem. They're not just sitting there, you know, looking at their phone. They're busy.
They're busy.
Yeah, so I think from a leverage standpoint, you should always use it. And then when, you know, as good as Gabby is, I don't think anybody is going to beat the engaged, busy, professional agent that's texting. So I would say, you know, mute the convo, take it over if you have the availability. But don't do it because you're nervous that something is going to screw up. Because I can tell you, the bots that I used to use, they always make me look dumb. I'm sorry, that's not a right answer. I'm sorry, that's not a right answer. I'm sorry, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that, and, you know, but anyway.
Okay, so I just got a message from Nate that his battery is being drained very quickly on his laptop. So you may drop off video, and then you're gonna dial in.
I will.
Nate?
Yep.
Yeah, just dial in. So Nate, before you drop off, what are some of the cool new things that you guys are working on, that we're working on together, to continue to improve Lead Assist, Gabby, and the AI?
Yes.
As soon as he was going to answer the question. That's okay. Let me answer a couple questions while he's dialing back in. We already know how to mute Gabby. If the client responds, stop, will she stop? And the answer is yes, right? Obviously, we pay attention to that. If the lead comes in the middle of the night, Barry, and you've got it engaged, it continues engaging, correct?
Yeah. I mean, and you know, and it does a good job of being careful. You know, it's interesting. People that work the night shift don't mind having a conversation about a home. You know, I mean, they're registering and saying, "Call me." And if it's in the middle of the night and they're wanting to talk, you know, I'm asleep. I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, we get that question a lot, and I remember one of the downsides of just the non-AI drip campaign was that they go out, right? And
Yes.
there's nobody to respond. So with Lead Assist, they will be able to respond, and it's, you know, like I always say, if the client is ready to have those conversations at 3 a.m, then let them have the conversation at 3 a.m, right? And you're going to get a higher response rate because the other agent who also got that lead, like you referenced,
right,
they're not going to be able to respond.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, this isn't really the subject that probably Lead Assist would want to go down, but I mean, in my opinion, I think as a general rule, agents are way too concerned about the one person that complained like 6 months ago.
Right.
Like, you know, they complain, "Oh, why do you keep following up with me?" And so then they're like, "I don't want to make anybody mad." And like my whole thing is, I don't want to make anybody mad either. But if they're mad at me because I sent an extra text message 10 minutes later, they were going to get mad at me later about something else. Like, let them just move on. I can tell you from experience that if you're more concerned about missing out on serving someone in the largest purchase of their life, if that's your motivating factor, you're going to parse through the people that don't want to talk to you and move on to the next one. You know?
Yep. And one of the things I always tell people when I'm doing trainings around the country is that more deals are lost because of lack of follow-up than overly persistent follow-up. By far, right? Because we are afraid that we're bothering them, when in reality they raise their hand and they want help, right? It may not be today, it may not be a week from now, but eventually they're going to be standing right in front of you. And if you're the one that's been communicating for the last 3, 4, 12 months, they're going to pick you. So Nate, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Welcome back. So as you were saying, tell us about...
Yeah, that was a perfect cliffhanger, wasn't it?
Perfect, man. Everybody had to stay on just for that. So tell us what's coming next, man. What do we have to look forward to throughout the end of the year, and what's going on the AI side?
Yeah, so one new feature that we're really excited to have launched with you guys is what we call Smart Nurture. So I mentioned a lot of how we're doing follow up with unresponsive leads, 12 times or 26 times over 12 months. A lot of times a lead might respond, but they might say something like, "Hey, don't worry about me right now. I'm not going to be seriously looking for a year and a half." It doesn't make a lot of sense to try and qualify them on the spot right there. So we don't. We actually say something like, "No problem. We're looking forward to connecting with you next August," or something, whatever they might say. And then we actually follow up with that lead for you, not next August, but a little before that, because you always want to start, the conversation up 3 or 4 months before when they told you they want to buy.
Right.
So if they say something like next August, we might start having a conversation with them in June or something, and try and picking up that conversation. So that is a feature that is now live with Gabby, and it just depends on the time frame that they might have said they'd rather be followed up with. So I just used the year and a half as an example. It might be something more like 9 months from now, but we always still try and take it a little step further. A lot of people say something like, "I'm just looking."
Right.
Well, everyone is just looking. We don't
That's
just immediately say, we'll follow up with you later. We say, "Got it, no pressure." If they continuously say, like, "Seriously, I'm just looking for now, follow up with me later," then we'll say, "Got it, we'll talk to you later." And then actually follow up.
I love it. I think, and I just had a couple ideas that I want to run by you. We don't have to do it on the call, but in getting tasks created and letting the agent know ahead of time. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's cool. And so we'll wrap up here. But one last thing is, it doesn't have to be named Gabby. Just so everybody knows, like, we named it Gabby, which, by the way, was named after our COO, whose name is Gabriella. And so it was like a little, I don't know, jab maybe, because she's awesome and we love her. But you can name it whatever you want. And then if anybody has any questions on it, let us know. By the way, to get it installed, just go to your profile and there's a little button underneath your photo, a little bit down inside of LionDesk, where it says connect to Lead Assist. Takes what, 30 seconds? Yeah, to do it. So you just go over to, I think it's profile, and then right below the Google stuff, it says, oh, there you go, Lead Assist. So don't remove that connection, but you'll just go over there, you'll click it. We load up 20 free conversations. And then after that, it's a mere $3 per conversation. And again, that is $3. If they don't follow up, that's going to be 26 times in 12 months, right? So it's not per text, it's per lead engaged. And I think Barry would be the first one to say it's well worth it.
Oh yeah, I went all in with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you did go all in with it. How many Lead Assist credits do you have down there, man?
500.
Holy moly. All right.
I mean, you don't want to, my thing is, if you know that it's going to work, leave it, I'd rather have more, right? And then not wait, because I'm not paying attention, if something runs out or whatever. I'd rather just, okay, it's working. There's ROI there. So.
Rock and roll. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I hope it was a little bit educational. I learned something, for crying out loud. Barry, thank you for sharing it. Nate, thanks for being here. I hope you get your passport all settled out, man. And
Yes.
This will be available on a recording, and we'll post it back on Facebook for everybody to watch who missed it. So have a great day, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Next time you're wearing the lion costume, Dave. All right.
I will. Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.